Okay, hi everyone. So this video is going to be the K-pop album tag for 2019. So I have the list of questions. I'm gonna put them in the description if anyone wants to know what they are. I'm excited to get into this. I'm not gonna only talk about one album for each question. I feel like I want to talk about as many things as I can in this video. So with that said, I'll get started. The first question is favorite album of 2019. So I would say overall I have two main albums I want to talk about, and then there's one extra that's like a favorite. Yeah, so the first one is Taehyun's Birthday. So yeah, this came out in January and I've basically listened to this album every day. And since then, this album is so good. I've talked about it in like my unboxing, but like I think this album is so dynamic and cool. It definitely shows off a lot of different sides for Taehyun. Like all four songs are pretty different. Like we have a ballad in there. We have Love Lock, which is a lot different from Birthday, which is a lot different from I Wanna Know. And then it all just comes together to form this wonderful album that is just really great. And I'm like forever thankful that this album came out because this was pretty definitive of my entire year. So then the second album I want to talk about is TLC's Number One. So this album is similar to Birthday in that it's pretty definitive of my whole entire year. This one came out in January too, and like again, I listen to this album every day still. So I mean, I feel like that has to say something almost an entire year later. This album is so different from any of CLC's other albums in that it is so cohesive and dynamic and interesting, while also having all the songs be able to fit together really well. So like all the songs are different, but it's like still a really cohesive album. My favorite song off this album is Show, for sure. There's just something about that one that's so good. I really love Seunghee's high note in that song. And No as the title track is just so good. Chef's Kiss, amazing. Like I said, it was just really different from anything they've done before, especially in terms of title tracks and things like that. I think it really made a statement, and I think that's what they were going for, so that's really cool. But yeah, CLC actually had a pretty great year, even considering Cube being Cube. The last album I want to mention is Twice's Feel Special. So I thought Fancy You was a good album, but this like beat it out somehow. Like this album is so good, no skips, and that's not something I've had from Twice for a while. So now that Twice released this album, I'm just so hype about it because it's just like mind-blowingly good, and it's exactly what I feel like we deserve from Twice. It's different for them, which I think is something they really needed. I feel like they really just needed to start to grow and develop more with their music, and this definitely showed that. Like they did a little bit of that with Fancy You, but this album again is just next level, top tier. It's exactly what we deserve from Twice. Twice had a really good year too, music wise. Even the Japanese stuff that they released this year is really good, so I'm pretty hype about that. But yeah, these are like my favorite albums of the year, I'd say. I noticed while trying to look for albums for this question that there weren't really many full-length albums that I enjoyed this year. I don't even know if there's many groups of mine that released full-length albums this year. I can only think of AB6, and that wasn't even really something phenomenal. But I mean, with that said, these albums made up for that. Okay, and the second question is favorite packaging of 2019. So for this question, I'd say Red Velvet's The River Festival Day 1. For this one, first of all, I really like member covers. Since I stopped collecting Joy's photo cards, I really like member-specific things even more now. But this especially differs from their Day 2 packaging because everything, well, not everything, but like this thing in particular was member specific, and I don't know, I just think this packaging is more interesting than a lot of the other stuff that Red Velvet has. And then another one that I enjoy is Chungha's Gotta Go album. So the thing I like about this is that it's heavy, it's a box, and I don't even hate the postcards inside because it's just postcards, not a photo book. The overall kind of design of the album, and that by that I mean like even like the concept and stuff inside just kind of fits it. Like there's a lot of albums like this that just don't really work. I don't know, like the postcard thing is really iffy sometimes, and I think it worked here. And then the last one I'm going to mention is Impact's Only You album. So the front of this is like lenticular-y. I don't know if, yeah, you can kind of see it there. It kind of takes a traditional kind of packaging because you can see it's just kind of normal inside, but it just kind of takes something normal and makes it a little bit more interesting, so that is fun. Okay, so the next question is least favorite packaging of the year. For this one, I have to say IZ*ONE's Hard Eyes. This packaging is a scam. I don't like First of all, that there's a slipcover covering the slipcover with the member on it, and then everything is just kind of loose inside of the slipcover. I feel like that just causes trouble. So the next one I'm going to mention is Sungwon's second mini album. So I want to mention this one because it's really similar to Chungha's Gotta Go album. It's actually the same in the way that it has postcards instead of a photo book, but there's a black bag that this comes in and you open it that way, and like the official sticker is on the black bag, and it is my least favorite thing ever. It is so frustrating, but I mean, like, that's really the only thing, but it just frustrates me that much. But then the last one I want to mention is New East's The Table. So this is the one with the kind of open spine. I like the fact that you can open the photo book and you can see all the pictures really nicely, but I don't like the fact that, first of all, it makes a whole bunch of noises when you at least first open it up, and then eventually, you know, the glue or stuff will probably eventually fade away, and then this album is just gonna fall apart, so that's not fun. Overall, I don't think there was that many, I guess, disastrous packagings from this year. I also do want to mention Wooseok and Gwanlin, their 9801 album. That one's not good in packaging. I do have it and I'm looking at it right now, but I don't want to go grab it. But that one's not good either. That's like exactly how not to do a slipcover. So the next question is favorite photo book concept. So the first one I'll mention is Daya's Neutro. So if you don't know, my favorite color is pink. So that's a lot of the reason why I like this album. But the photos in this are really, really pretty. All pink and all pretty. I love it so much. I love everything about it. I even think the cover, like, being kind of holographic is really cool too. So I'll probably mention a lot of albums for this one, but I'll try to make it quick. So Sungwon's Blue album is another one. So this one just has a whole bunch of postcards, but my favorite thing is Sungwon's red hair. So that's like his hair color. So I love it a lot. A lot of the outside shots are really pretty. So I'm not doing a great job at showing a whole bunch of them, but yeah, these are just some really great pictures. So yeah. The Revo Festival Day 2 is a good one. I really love, again, you know, pink, so that the outside of it is really nice. But I really like all these photos. Looks very summery and cute, so yeah, their outfits in that are really cute too. So another one is this version of It's Icy. So I just think this is super cute. These outfits are really nice. I mean, the photo book is pretty simple itself, but I think the concept is really cute. So yeah, this specific version of Twice's Feel Special is really great as well. I think anything with pink, anything will always win over anything else, but this photo book is stunning. The gold and the pink are what make it what it is. So good. So yeah, those are my 5 favorites from the year. So the next question is most anticipated album of the year. So for this one, I'm going to say AB6IX's Be Complete, their debut. So I think ever since 101's contract ended, I was just really hyped and really excited for Brand New Boy's debut. I mean, it's basically something I've been looking forward to ever since Produce 101. So yeah, this has been like really anticipated for a long time. So, and this album is pretty good too, so I'm glad that I wasn't let down by anything there. But yeah, so this one was really anticipated. And also NCT 127's We Are Superhuman album was really anticipated for me. So this came out in like May, I think. So that was around the time where I saw them on their tour and they were doing US promotions. So I think that's why it was mostly anticipated, just because we were hearing new songs at the time, and again, you know, with the US promotions, that was really exciting. So another anticipated album for me was New East's Happily Ever After. So I think OT5 was just really anticipated for a lot of people. So it was a long time without Minhyun, but him coming back for me was really anticipated, and this album, of course, was really anticipated. I was fully expecting it to be a perfect album, which it is. So, but yeah, this one was very highly anticipated, so it feels nice to have the whole group back. So that was what I wanted to mention for my most anticipated releases. So the next question is favorite rookie girl group album. And if I'm being honest with you, I really didn't buy any rookie girl group albums The only one I bought is ITZY's It's Icy, which, I mean, this album is really good. So this basically, I mean, this is a default answer, but also not at the same time. Like, this is my favorite, which is why I bought it, if that makes sense. Like, if I'm being honest with you though, there weren't really many other rookie girl groups that I really got into this year. I know a lot of people will probably answer Everglow for this question maybe, but yeah, I didn't really get into them enough where I wanted to buy their albums. I do like their music though. I guess IZ*ONE would technically maybe count for this too, but these are the only girls who debuted this year whose album that I bought, so I mean, they are my current favorite rookie group, girl group anyways. But yeah, like I said, this album is really good. I really love Cherry. That was the initial favorite from this album. And also, It's Summer is really fun too. I was really hoping I would like Icy when it came out, and I'm really glad that I did. I didn't like it as much as their debut, because their debut was like my favorite song of the year. But Icy is good, just not as good as Dollar Dollar in my opinion on there, but what can you do? But yeah, so that was that for this question. So then the next question, of course, is favorite rookie boy group album. And so I got into quite a few more rookie boys this year than I did girls. My answer for this question will be a little bit longer, but first of all, I want to talk about We in the Zone's debut. This is a self-titled album. So We in the Zone are my favorite rookie boys of this year, hands down. I've been waiting for Shihyun to have a legitimate debut since 2017. So this, I probably could have put this in my most anticipated album question too, just because Shihyun's debut was so anticipated for me. So there was so much hype for this album for me, but what made it even better is that this album is gold. Let's Get Loud for their debut song it's good. It's a good song. I definitely feel like the song, or like the song that they chose, could have been better, but I still like the song. But the B-sides make this album what it is. Love 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 is so good. Bet on Me is so good. And In the Rain is such a good ballad. Like, Juwon is such a good vocalist, and that song shows it off really well. They're all really good singers, of course, but like Juwon shines in that song. So this album is really good. And I also really want to mention their second mini album as well, just because that album is so good too. So Love Aid is a considerably better title track, at least to me. The song is just so fun and kind of summery. It did come out in like October, but it's a really good song to listen to in the summer, I feel like. Call Me is my favorite B-side from this album. I think they're always gonna have like the one B-side on every single one of their albums that just sounds like a bit reminiscent of songs from the album that Shihyun was on. That is absolutely what I love, because that album is so good. And I don't listen to the album very much these days for certain reasons, but I really like that they kind of revisit that sound a bit, so makes me so happy. So yeah, both of these albums from We in the Zone are really good. That is why they're my favorite rookie boys. And then another one I want to mention is One We. So this is a Japanese version of their debut single, which I bought just to kind of have something to commemorate their debut, just because they didn't have physical in Korea. But with that said, there's 3 songs on this album plus a remix, so 4 songs total, and every single one of those songs is so good. Every single one of the songs made it onto my top 100 songs of the year. So like, I was really excited for One We's debut, because again, I've been just holding out for their re-debut for a while, ever since I got to know Dongmyeong, because I love that kid so much. When I heard that this was a ballad song, I wasn't expecting to really love it, because a lot of the times I don't connect with ballad title tracks, but that wasn't the case here. So I really love Reminisce About All. It's really good. I think the thing about it especially is just that Younghoon's voice is so good. He's like such a good singer, and I love that. He carried the song really well. So, but the other 2 songs on this, Ring on My Ear, first of all, that's my favorite out of the 3 songs on the album. It is pure perfection. I really like the more, rock sound to it, so yeah, that one's so good. And also 0 and 4, that one is so good too. It shows a more fun side to them, so that's really cool. It shows this whole album just kind of shows how versatile they are as a band, and I'm looking forward to more of their releases. They released their last single a couple months ago, but I'm hoping we get something new really soon, because I've been absolutely loving what they're doing. So, and then I'll quick mention these. I have 2 other rookie boy groups that I want to quick talk about. So AB6, they're one of my favorite rookie groups of the year. While they haven't 100% hit the mark with me music-wise this year, those 5 boys are boys that I absolutely love. You know, Daehwi and Woojin, 101 are my favorite boys, and I'm really happy to see them doing so well after the fact. And also Donghyun and Youngmin. Youngmin is my favorite boy ever. I love him to death. He's really high up on my bias list, and I really love seeing him in a group as well. Like, I don't know. And I really love, the addition of Woong. He just seems absolutely essential to the group now, like after, you know, however many months of promotions. Like, those 5 just seem like the golden lineup. Like, I feel like the boys couldn't have chosen a better person to join them. So like that aspect of AB6, I love all of that. They've released some good songs, but they haven't, you know, entirely hit me with all of their songs. So hopefully, you know, like their next release, I can really get into that. But yeah, anyways, the last group I want to mention here is CIX. So CIX, I admittedly am not as into as the other 3 groups that I've mentioned, but CIX I see a lot of potential in. The thing I want to mention mostly is Jinyoung. I feel like Jinyoung's growth as, you know, like an artist has become so visible. Like, he's been able to shine so much within this group, and I mostly mean with, like, you know, his singing. He has a wonderful singing voice, and I've always known this, but it's like we get to hear so much of it in CIX songs just because, you know, there's only 5 members as compared to, you know, 101 who had 11 members, but he has such an amazing voice. You can see how much he's grown in terms of dancing. Like, he's such a good dancer, and his charisma is insane. Like, he's so charismatic. Like, you can just see that growth, you know, from where he started as a trainee, auditioning on Produce 101 season 2, and to where he is now. It seems like 2 completely different people, and I feel like the noticeable growth is something that it just fills my heart so much because I love him a lot, and just seeing him, like, confident and doing all sorts of great things now that he's moved on from 101 makes me so happy. But yeah, all of the other boys in CIX are great too. I really like BX. I like his voice in particular. I don't know much about the boys individually. Like, I don't really watch variety or reality or things like that these days, so that's just how it's gonna be, I guess. I think all of the other boys offer some really great things as well. So yeah, that was, I guess, my way too long discussion about my favorite rookies of the year. So the next question is albums that surprised me. So the first one I want to mention is JBJ95's Awake. So this album is so good, start to finish, no skips, absolutely perfection. I was not expecting anything like this considering their first release. It was just a lot different from this, and so it really did surprise me. Like, Who I Am is probably my favorite B-side of the year, and Looking for Love is such a good song, and Friend Zone is really good, and of course Awake is really good. It was completely opposite to their debut song, so like, I know I love the JBJ95 boys, like, there's no question about that, but this album was so next level compared to their debut, so that's why it surprised me so much. So the next question is favorite non-Korean release. So the first album I want to talk about is Wavy's Takeoff album. So I want to talk about this and their second mini album, Take Over the Moon. I don't have that one yet, so I won't be showing it to you, but I think both of these albums are really good. I admittedly think Take Over the Moon is a lot better just because, you know, there's just more original content on that album. I really like what Wavy has been doing. I think they're great boys, of course, so I'm just really happy with that. I'm just really happy that I guess Wavy is a thing, and I think that's really all I have to talk about. I can also mention NCT 127's Awaken album. So this was their Japanese full-length release. I mean, this album has a lot of songs that were already released, but And to Start is probably like my favorite Japanese song by a Korean group that came out this year. So basically all of the songs that weren't already released that are on this album are really good. Admittedly, I'm not a fan of Wakey Wakey, but that's besides the point. So the next question is favorite subunit. So this one is kind of by default, but it also is technically my favorite. So this is Super M. I don't think I bought any other subunit albums this year. This is always kind of the hardest question because subunits are kind of rare to come across, at least in my realm of things, but This album is really good. Jopping is, of course, really fun. I Can't Stand the Rain is really good too. My favorite song on this album is Too Fast by far. No Manners is, of course, really good. Yeah, this whole album is really good. I'm really happy it was released. I'm really glad that Super M is a thing. Oh, I forgot about Supercar. Supercar is a good song too. But yeah, I'm really happy that this album was released. I kind of hope we get more Super M activities in the future, but I hope that they aren't super often. Like, I hope Super M like is a thing, like a continual thing like this. Like, I also hope that they don't do a whole bunch of promotions all the time. So the next question is favorite solo album of the year. This one goes to Jaehwan's Another album. So this album could fit in several different categories, but I stuck this one here. So this is one of my overall favorites of the year, and also this is like one of my favorite debuts of the year, and it was an album that really surprised me. So I knew that Jaehwan would do something more ballady because that's, I mean, just more of what I figured he would do, and that turned out to be the case. So he debuted with Begin Again. So that song, I expected wholeheartedly to not like it because, again, like I already mentioned this, but I don't really connect with like ballad title tracks, but this one is so good. There's something about this whole album that just does something to me, like every single song. So Love You Still, ooh, I get emo as hell when I listen to that song. It is so good. Designer is probably my favorite song on this album. Like, it goes between Designer and Love You Still, but Designer is like obviously the more upbeat one, so that one gets me pretty hype. But there's something about listening to Designer on full volume that just, it does something to you. Like, it's so good. And I think, you know, Jaehwan doing like dance type stuff with like doing songs that have like actual choreography and stuff like that, like it just really works for him. Like, he could go the easy way and just stand on the stage and sing ballads, but I think, you know, the more upbeat and, you know, the dance thing really suits him. Like, his voice is really versatile, and that is something I can appreciate. But it's more like songs like Designer that I think suit him the most because like his voice is just so like full and good, and he can make a song really interesting even if he's, you know, solo and singing by himself, which I think is the best thing about him. Just everything about this album is so good. Melodrama and Blow Me, of course, are really good. This album is so good. I admittedly haven't listened to his new album yet, but I probably will soon. But I can only expect that it is just as good as this one because Jaehwan is on a whole different level, and he's just so great at everything he does. But I think this is the only solo album I really want to mention. I didn't buy many solo albums this year. I could mention Sungwoon here. Like, admittedly, a lot of his albums haven't stuck with me. So yeah, I will talk about Sungwoon for a second. So like, I was really excited for his debut, and his album My Moment is really good. Bird is a really fun song, but the album didn't stick with me as much as Taehyun's did, and I'm only comparing the two because, you know, they're in the same group. But I was expecting to really love it. I was expecting to love it just as much as I did Taehyun's, but that wasn't really the case. I really love Tell Me I Love You. That song is really good and it's really fun, but it's more of the ballady songs on the album that I didn't really connect with, and this is like kind of just my problem with a lot of songs. Like, I just don't really connect with a lot of ballads, and that's like half of the album, I'd say. Like, I know that the album is good, it's just that I don't want to go back and listen to it a whole bunch because I feel like I have to be in a certain mood to listen to it. But yeah, and I was really looking forward to his second mini album too because the concept looked really cool. And when I heard the teaser, you know, the album teaser, I thought the songs would be really good, and they are. But I don't find myself going back to listen to it as much as I first thought I would. My favorite song on the album is Blue Maze. That song is, it means a lot to me. I like that song so much. That's a song that can kind of calm me down, bring me back to a calm place, and like a lot of the songs don't stick with me as much as I anticipated them to. Oh, there's another solo album I want to mention. I just thought of this one. So this is the last one I'll mention. It is Ujin from Big Flo and UNB. This is his debut album, Emotion, and this album is so good. Chef's Kiss. I didn't think I'd like it that much when it first got released, but I found myself listening to it a lot, and that's what really surprised me, is because I Like It is such a good song, and Equal is such a good song too. The two B-sides are what make this album really what it is because it's so good. There's 3 songs plus an intro, so it's really short, but it's also really good. The title track could have been better, but that doesn't mean I don't like it. I still really like the title track. I just didn't end up listening to it as much as the other 2 B-sides. This is one album that if you haven't checked it out, I highly recommend that you do, because even if you have no idea who he is, I think these songs are really good. So the next question is album that could have been better. So with this one, I will mention Red Velvet's The Reva Festival Day 2. So I found myself to be a little bit disappointed with this album. I don't know if it's just because I haven't listened to it that much, but I feel like this album is not hardly as good as The Reva Festival Day 1. Day 1 is so good. I love every single song on that album, and the album's been in circulation since it came out. But this one, I found the songs a lot harder to connect with upon first listen. I like the style that they're going for, but just didn't hit quite as much as Day 1. So it just made me a little bit sad. But I'm hoping that Day 3 is really good. As of filming this, it hasn't come out yet, but I'm loving the concepts for it, and I have a feeling it's gonna be good. So the next one I want to mention is one I feel a little bit bad about mentioning, but it is Obtention's The Moment of Illusion. I don't think this album is bad at all. It's just a matter of this album doesn't hit quite as much as some of their other ones. So I'd say, you know, from their albums, Top Secret, Bravo, Spotlight, and Burst, those are all albums that are like immaculate. They're all so good. Even like their single albums, like their special photo edition album singles, those songs are so good. And I just wish that these songs were a bit better. I like the songs, but I just don't listen to them very often. I think Your Gravity is a great title track. I'm really happy that that is the song they went with. But the B-sides, again, they just don't hit quite like their other songs. I was just a little bit sad when I didn't connect with this album a whole bunch, because I love just being able to yell about an Obtention album all the time, but that wasn't really the case with this one, so it's just a little bit sad about that. So that's all I really want to mention for this question, I think. So the last question is random album recommendation. So I have two here that I want to talk about. They're just ones that I didn't really get to talk about in any of the other questions. The first one is 100%'s Retro album. So this album is really good. This has one of my favorite songs of the year on it. So The Truth is one of my favorite songs of the year. And Still Loving You is a great song. Overall, I really love the concept they went for with this album. And I was just really into this comeback, so that was really fun. It was their last comeback before they all enlisted, so overall, if you haven't checked out this album, I highly recommend that you do. It's a really good one. There's some good ballads on it and stuff like that. So, and then the next one I want to recommend is Pentagon's Genius album. So this album from Pentagon is the first one I've really connected with for a while, and I mean that kind of overall. Pentagon on every album has had some songs that I like, of course, but this one as a whole is a lot better than a lot of their other ones. In terms of B-sides, Lost Paradise is so good. Their rap line has always been like one of my favorites. Alien is a really fun song, but my favorite song on this album is Spring Snow. Pentagon have proven themselves to be the pop punk kings. I really want them to release more songs like this, just because before I got into K-pop, that was a sound of music that I really enjoyed. Even the beginning of the song sounds very distinctly like a State Champs song, so that really got me. It's just, the song itself is really good, but it also just makes my heart feel so happy and soulful. Spring Snow is just exactly what I needed. Okay, so another question that I kind of wanted to add on to here was like some of my favorite purchases of the year, like some of my favorite like items that I've got this year. So this will like include things that weren't released this year, but I mean some of them were, some of them weren't. I will show you some of my favorite things that I got this year. This will hopefully go pretty quickly, but yeah. So the first thing I want to mention is my Obtention light stick. This was very long awaited release. I'm so happy they have an official light stick now. And then there's this as well, which is my official Hanul kit. So I'm officially in Sungwon's fan club, so that's fun. All of this stuff in here was really cute. So some other things include this promo of Sungwon's My Moment. I actually have 2 copies of promos for his My Moment album, and also the Hotshot Photobook. This was very long awaited. I waited over a year for that, and that one also came with a signed Polaroid, and I'll insert a picture of that here if you have not seen it yet. But the fact that Hojung signed it to my name was a bit crazy to me. But and then we also have Daya's Do It Amazing. So this album is severely out of print. It is so hard to find, especially for a good price, but I managed to get it for a pretty good price through Mercari Japan. This was a hole in my collection I never thought I would be able to fill. So, and then the last thing I want to mention is my Hangul signed album. So when I bought M-Wave copies of X1's album, I got 2 of the same signature and someone so graciously offered to trade with me, and I was able to get my bias's signature, so that was really cool for me. I think those are probably my favorite things that I got this year. So yeah, I apologize if this video was really long, but I hope you enjoyed. I really wanted to discuss all of my favorite things throughout the year. There was definitely a lot of good music that came out this year, so that's really exciting. I hope 2020 is just as good of a year as this one. But with that said, that was everything. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in my next video.